The Bitcoin ETF approval is expected in the next few hours. Huobi's Bitcoin reserves are vanishing. SBF gave a horrible testimony. Gemini sues Genesis over $1.6 billion worth of GBTC. CZ loses $12 billion, and searches for buy Bitcoin are up 826%. Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Daily. So actually a big news day today compared to yesterday at least. It was a quiet day yesterday. Bitcoin down a little bit, down about $500 today, or 1.5%. Obviously, we're just kind of evening out from this recent rally, so nothing too crazy. We're still plenty up for the week. First piece of news: Jason A. Williams on X. So this guy's been pretty well known. I think he was a partner of Pomp and something like that, and did something with BlockFi, something related to that. But a lot of people point to him as actually knowing certain things about Bitcoin. Who knows if that's actually true? I'm not super familiar with him, but I went through some of his tweets, and I'm not super convinced that this guy has any sort of insight. But yesterday night, he tweeted and said, breaking, Bitcoin ETF approval reportedly expected within 24 hours. So we're obviously, about 12 hours away from, where he's saying that we would hear from the SEC about a Bitcoin ETF approval. I personally don't buy into it. If you read through the comments, they're pretty funny. Like this one that says I made it up. So obviously no source. He just said, just said it. I think in my opinion, it's engagement farming, but cool thing to keep an eye on. If we get the ETF approval today, then obviously things are going to be going parabolic, as his title suggests. So Will Clemente on X talked about Huobi and compared their Bitcoin reserves to other centralized exchanges. And if you look at this first chart, they have completely collapsed. So it looks like they're holding like basically no Bitcoin. And so who knows what's happening? I think I haven't looked into it, but I think Huobi's volume has declined a lot. I also think that just in general, they were never that big of an exchange. So who knows? I know that they got caught for market manipulation a few times related to some altcoins. So you never know with stuff like this, but another thing to keep your eyes on if their reserves turn into an FTX-like situation, which you never know in crypto. So speaking of FTX and SBF, SBF took the stand yesterday and he gave his testimony. So Tiffany Fong posted that he was not answering the questions very well, which is what he used to do with journalists. When they were asking him questions about FTX, he'd be very, macro heavy and kind of like word jumbles and didn't really make a whole lot of sense and would just kind of talk, crazy FOMO type of talk. So obviously not a whole lot to expect from a guy like this, who probably has a funny relationship with the truth. So more on his testimony. So they're saying that he gave his testimony. He said that he made a lot of mistakes and a lot of people got hurt. The line of questioning was previewed Thursday after Kaplan, the judge, sent jurors home for the day. The former FTX CEO, when queried by his defense team, made it clear he wanted to direct blame toward former FTX general counsel Dan Friedberg and outside law firm Fenwick and West. So he's gone from kind of blaming, like Caroline Ellison and other, executives at FTX and Alameda to, now blaming his counsel at the time, which basically he's saying that, and I think this is kind of the foundation of his, defense, is that he made mistakes, he poorly ran the company, but he had people working for him that kind of contributed to the, fraudulent part of it. And in this, obviously blaming his lawyers, he's saying that his lawyers were advising him and he thought it was all above board since he had lawyers involved. So kind of an interesting stance to take. But I don't think from what I've read, it doesn't seem like it had much of a positive impact in his favor to go that route. Gemini sues bankrupt lender Genesis, its former partner, over $1.6 billion worth of Bitcoin. So this is like a fun word jumble because you've got so many different corporations and companies that start with a G. So you've got Gemini, you've got Genesis Global, you've got Grayscale, and then you've got DCG. So kind of a lot to jumble in there, but the core part of it is that there was the Gemini Earn product, which had Bitcoin in the form of GBTC which is obviously not real Bitcoin, but GBTC exposure that it used for its earn product. And then obviously when Genesis went under, which is a subsidiary, this is where it all gets confusing. Genesis is a subsidiary of DCG, and so is Grayscale and also CoinDesk, which is this where this article is from. So there's just like this whole jumble about where this Bitcoin is and what's going on. So Gemini actually won a recent suit to claw back some money as well. So I guess we'll see what happens. It'll be interesting to watch this kind of unfold. There's a lot of lawsuits still kind of unfolding from the whole FTX collapse. CZ apparently lost about $12 billion in net worth as trading revenue also reportedly slid 38%. So, this is just kind of interesting. I threw it in there because I thought it was, fascinating if true. But they're saying that his net worth topped out at $96 billion in January 2022, which is nuts. I had no idea it was anywhere near that number. But a lot of these, and I say reportedly because a lot of these figures are kind of like estimates that, they're throwing out there. So they are using, it says here, they're basing Binance's revenue based on trading data from spot and derivatives markets using data tracking sites like CoinGecko and CC Data. So like I said, it's all reportedly. These are not like publicly, Binance is not like a public company where they have to report strict financials. So this is all like analysts just kind of looking through data and this is what they're coming up with. So take it for what it is. I do believe though that their revenue is sliding. I think it's going a lot towards DEXs and other exchanges that have popped up. So I would expect Binance's revenue to keep declining as decentralized exchanges take more and more market share. Other thing to keep in mind is that CZ is very closely linked to a lot of different big DEXs like PancakeSwap. So, while the revenue might be sliding on Binance, there's a lot of revenue on chain that he might be, still capturing. So just something to keep in mind with those types of news stories. So search for buy Bitcoin have surged 826% in the UK. So we always kind of see this in a bull market, the surge in search Ethereum, stuff like that tends to happen. And then final thing here, another little funny piece. Grandpa, what was the 2021 to 2024 bear market like? See if I can mute this. It's just kind of a funny video of, older guy crying, obviously. But, this has been one of the hardest bear markets. It's been the longest bear market, I think, running almost 800 days. So one of the hardest, one of the longest bear markets that we've ever experienced, and starting to slowly kind of crawl out of it. So we'll see how that progresses. But that's all I got. Have a good weekend. See you guys later.